Before I begin and get started, let me cue the theme because the theme is one of the reasons I got into this show. What is going on, everyone? Dr. Ironbat Prime 2.0 back again with this new video. And, well, as you hit this video, I thought I'd do, just a review and a look back at the show, Spectacular Spider-Man, because, with the Spidey's new movie on its way to the big screen, I thought I'd do a Spider-Man related video by talking about one of my childhood cartoons, and that is Spectacular Spider-Man, because, it's super good, it's excellent, it's entertaining in many ways, and it is all around amazing. Pun intended, by the way. So just to get down to it, what do I think about this show? What do I think about the show Spectacular Spider-Man? In my full opinion, I still love and enjoy this show till this day. I mean, it's one of the reasons I became a diehard Spider-Man fan, and it's a must-watch for any fan of Spider-Man or superheroes. I mean, even as an adult, I still love it and enjoy it till this day, and it's just a near and dear place in my heart is where it holds. Yeah, in my opinion, the show is just that good. I mean, in my opinion, it's a 10 out of 10, is just the right amount of entertaining, is the perfect amount of Spidey action, and it's all around spectacular. That's 2 now. And there's just a lot to love and enjoy when it comes to this show and when it comes to, Spider-Man, because, at the time, there were other Spider-Man shows, and yes, there's so many superhero cartoons when it comes to just superheroes and Spider-Man related ones. Like, besides Superman and Batman, Spider-Man has a ton of cartoons. I mean, some are good, like the classic 90s Spider-Man animated series. Some are bad, like the 2017 Marvel Spider-Man. Some are kind of cheesy, like the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And others can be 50-50, like Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, there's all that. And I think we could all just thank the creator for giving us one of the coolest Spider-Man shows ever, and that would be Greg Weisman. If you're not familiar with who Greg Weisman is, he's the same guy that's responsible for creating the 90s Gargoyles cartoon, and he's also the one responsible for creating Young Justice. Yeah, he's the one responsible for those shows as well, so highly recommend checking those shows out if you haven't already, but because the man's a genius. I mean, he created this show a little while back, and I feel like he's given us the perfect Spider-Man cartoon because there's a lot to unpack, love, and enjoy about it, and, best translation on what the show's like, I mean, in my way of saying it, I mean, this show was basically a combination of, the classic Steve Ditko and Stan Lee Spider-Man comics from the 60s and 70s, tied in with, some of the classic 2000s Spider-Man comics, and they sprinkled in a little bit of Sam Raimi / Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie things in there. Yeah, that's just my way of saying it. I mean, it's just all around just like the classic Spider-Man comics, and they sprinkled in a little bit of some Sam Raimi / Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stuff in it, and it works very well. I mean, I love it, and that's one of the reasons I got into it, because, I mean, the show came out in, 2008, and, I was only 9 years old at the time, and I was a major, massive Spider-Man fan, and I saw the movies, the Tobey Maguire movies a million times, and I read the comics. I loved and enjoyed the show, and again, this show came out in 2008, and at the time, that was when, unless some other superhero movies and TV show stuff happening, like all this. At the time, it was a year after Spider-Man 3 hit the big screens, Dark Knight was out, and Marvel MCU was launching the first Iron Man movie. So, around that time, that was one of the perfect times and good times to just be a comic book fan and superhero fan at the time. Because, I mean, all that started, and there was just a lot to unpack when it comes to, well, Spectacular Spider-Man, and it is just, and again, it's just overall great, and there's a lot to explore with this show, including the unlimited amount of villains. Unlimited. Yeah, that's the pun. That's the third pun. I mean, the Rogues Gallery is just perfect in so many ways, and you get a lot of villains here and there, like Flint Marko, and then several episodes later he would become Sandman. Same goes for seeing Otto Octavius, but he's not Doc Ock yet. And same goes for Eddie Brock, who's pretty much a bro to Peter, but he would later become Venom near the end of season 1. Yeah, that's basically the Rogues Gallery. I mean, because Spider-Man has a humongous amount of villains to love and enjoy, and I love and enjoy all the villains that were thrown into this show. I mean, they were very well organized, that you enjoy a few, you have a favorite, and there's just a lot to unpack with the villains. I mean, they have perfect story arcs, they have reasons to become villains. To some of them, it was basically just a job to them, or there was a really good reason on why they want to do it, on why they want to be Spidey's enemies, but it works well with the show. It works well with the story. I mean, this show has a perfect story arc to love and enjoy. And the story arc and everything of all the characters and villains is just overall perfect and fits very well with the show. I mean, you love and enjoy with the villains, you feel a connection with them, and yet you have a favorite. I mean, it has like a perfect balance of like this of Peter Parker juggling his life on just him being himself and being Spider-Man. And same goes for just having other characters like Harry Osborn, Gwen Stacy being like his closest friends. And same goes for, well, just having a perfect amount of villains all over the place. And it works very well with the show. I mean, the creators did their homework. It is just an overall great show. But sadly, it only got 2 seasons. So, yeah, I mean, sure there was only 2 seasons, but I still love it and enjoy it till this day. And if you're in any way of a Spider-Man fan, you really need to see it. Because, I mean, there were plans for a season 3, but sadly that did not happen. But if you're wondering what happened after 2 seasons of Spectacular Spider-Man, well, translation, well, at the time, Disney bought Marvel, so at the time, well, basically, Sony still owned like a bunch of Spider-Man related stuff, and the show had to get canceled, and sometime later that was when Ultimate Spider-Man came in. But let's just say, like I said, it's a little 50-50 well, on Ultimate Spider-Man, but wasn't very superior. Superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock, come on. But overall, I still just feel like this show deserves a 3rd season because, well, it kind of sort of ended on a cliffhanger, but there's still a lot you could do with the 3rd season, and things that would have happened in season 3. It's hard to tell on what would happen in Peter Parker / Spider-Man's life, but maybe Peter's friendship with Harry would change. It's hard to tell what his relationship would be like with any other female friends in his life. And we would have seen the return of villains like Venom or even Lizard, and we would have seen other villains like Scorpion, Hobgoblin, or even Carnage. So yeah, I mean, all I'm asking is for Disney and Marvel just bring it back. I mean, Disney, Marvel, if you two are watching, please bring the show back. It would just mean a lot to me. It would mean a lot to the fans. And I've been a fan of this show since like I first laid eyes on it. And it's still my favorite till this day. It's still great. And I'm just begging for Disney and Marvel to bring it back. Because, well, let's just say Disney, Marvel, and other companies were able to bring these shows back. Overall, this show definitely deserves a 3rd season and needs to come back like other shows. I mean, Disney Plus was able to bring back Star Wars Clone Wars, and then sometime later bring back the 90s X-Men animated series. And Warner Brothers and DC were able to bring back the Young Justice series, and later in the future, they're kind of sort of bringing back Batman the animated series. And that's why I just want to say, #Save Spectacular Spider-Man, because, well, It's still one of my favorites till this day. I still love it. I still enjoy it. It definitely deserves like a third season. And heck, this show the creators probably had plans for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons of the show because, I mean, there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to enjoy. But overall, in my full opinion, it's still a near and dear great show. I still love it till this day. I hope that someday it can just come back, and I just overall love it and enjoy it till this day, and you need to check it out. And that's what I could say. I mean, Spider-Man fan or not, you gotta check out this show because it is overall good, amazing, is just spectacular. Did it again. And I just love it. I enjoy it. I mean, there's a lot to enjoy. And heck, I'll admit, I own the entire box set of the show on DVD, so Disney, Marvel, if it's possible, if you can't bring back the show, put it on Disney Plus, please, for those that do not own the entire box set. So that's basically everything I could say about the show. That's basically everything I could say. I don't want to get too spoilerish, but hey, if you're in any way a fan of Spider-Man, or in any way a diehard comic book fan, or you want to jump on to some new shows, or even if you want to binge watch something, Spectacular Spider-Man, I would highly recommend it because it is ultimate. And final pun intended. But yeah, I mean, if you're just in any way of a diehard Spider-Man fan, really need to check out the show. I mean, it's got action, adventure. If you love Marvel, if you love Spider-Man, you gotta check out the show. But thank you all again for listening to me, just rant about the show and talk about it. But just to wrap it up on this video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already by hitting subscribe down there along with hitting the bell down there. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up and comment below. I love it when I get those. But also don't forget to follow me on social media, and I just might follow you guys back. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, CosplayMino, TikTok. All my social media names are just right here, so stay tuned for my next video, and I'll see you guys later.